What's up? Welcome back to the Metalhead Car Show. A little while ago, I did a video ranking every single Iron Maiden album from worst to best. Today, I want to do it a little bit differently. As you've read already, yes, we'll be ranking every single Iron Maiden album opener from worst to best in this video. Now, in this, I am looking at what is the better song, but also what is the better opener. Because there's some songs on here I do think are fantastic songs, but also at the same time I think they're kind of garbage album openers. So before you get upset with some of these opinions, because you will, keep that in mind. But enough of that, let's get right into it. Starting off in 17th place, Satellite 15, The Final Frontier. Now, I like The Final Frontier. I like every song on this list. And when I saw Maiden back in 2011, when they actually opened with The Final Frontier, it was great. Did a great job at that. But the issue with The Final Frontier is the Satellite 15 part. Having a almost 4.5 minute segment of electronic drums, just Adrian and Bruce, and you can't skip it, always kind of soiled the song for me. I think The Final Frontier is an awesome song and a pretty good opener, but just due to it has that outrageously long intro to it that, truthfully, I don't really know if it needs to be there, or at least it doesn't need to be that long, puts it in last place. If you could skip it, it was just Satellite 15 as the intro, this might be a different story, but that's not the case. In 16th place, Sign of the Cross. Now, if you watch this channel, you know we are fans of Blaze Bayley, so there's no hate to him in this video. Now, as good of a song as Sign of the Cross is, and truthfully one of the best 90s Iron Maiden songs there are, I always thought this was a terrible pick for the opening song. Fun fact, originally the X Factor was supposed to use a song called Judgment Day as the opening song, and that song ended up getting scrapped. Had Judgment Day been the opening song, this would actually put X Factor a lot higher up than it is. And even if they put Man of the Edge as the opening song, it would have done a lot better. But I think having kind of a dramatic 11-minute song, a bit more mid-tempo with a really long intro, doesn't quite work for this. Now, I might contradict myself a little bit later on in the video saying that, but I always thought this song would have been the perfect closing song to the album, supposed to opener. In 15th place, Prowler. Prowler's awesome, don't get me wrong, but I never thought this was quite the right intro song. It's a great song, and I can kind of see why they made it the intro song, but frankly, I think if they picked something like Sanctuary, or maybe even Phantom of the Opera, they would have done a lot better than Prowler. Prowler had been perfect early on in the album, but as for an intro song, it doesn't quite cut it. I think maybe adding just a really cool intro to it, or if it had a melody that's a bit more sing-alongable, you know what I mean. That might put it a little bit higher up, but just due to it's a bit basic, I guess, it's going a bit lower on the list. 14th place, Wildest Dreams. Wildest Dreams isn't a bad pick, and frankly, I think of every song on the Dance of Death album, it kind of works best as the intro song of every song on the album. But it's going a bit lower on the list is due to, I think it is just a little bit too basic and almost a little bit too radioable, which I'm not going to ever say about too many Maiden songs, but Wildest Dreams might have that going for it. It's a great song, I'm not knocking it, but I think of every other song, it just hits a little bit weaker than some of the other ones. In 13th place, and I'm gonna get some hate for this, Where Eagles Dare. No one should try, where eagles dare. Frankly, in regards to the intro song, I think Where Eagles Dare does one thing really, really well, and that is having that Nico McBrain drum intro as the "we have Nico McBrain, here he is." That's the first thing you hear on the album. But truthfully, since the song has such little vocals to it, and it wasn't a single, kind of makes you think it wasn't quite the right pick for the intro song. Frankly, I almost think The Trooper would have been a better pick. I think Where Eagles Dare is a awesome, awesome song. Do not get me wrong, but in regards of intro songs, I don't think it's the best. I think it beats out some of the other songs due to its wicked, but as for the intro song, it's not quite perfect. 12th place, Itis of March. I hope I pronounced that properly. Originally, I was going to say Wrathchild because it is kind of the first full song on the album, but it's not the intro to the album, so I went with this. I think Itis of March is kind of a great intro to an album. It was what it was designed for, and the fact that it even has like a guitar solo to it and almost a verse or two, technically, is really cool. The reason why I'm putting it a little bit lower on the list is just because it is an instrumental and has no lyrics to it, and it kind of was a purpose-built intro to an album as opposed to a full song. I'm almost ridiculing it because it's an intro song. Frankly, if they scrapped Itis in March, only use that for live albums or live shows, and open the album with Murders in the Rue Morgue, Killers would be a lot higher on the list. 11th place, Tailgunner. Now, I actually think Tailgunner is a really good album opener. It has that build-up intro that kind of shows that it's all starting. It has a really easy chorus to sing along to. I have always thought this song was a single just due to it has album artwork to it and whatnot, but apparently it never was. This is going to sound like a really weird thing, but the same reasoning towards why I like bits of Where Eagles Dare. Going into the first solo, you hear Yannick Gears with Iron Maiden for the first time. And frankly, I always thought that was just kind of a cool touch to Tailgunner. I think Tailgunner is an awesome intro song. I think there are stronger songs on the list, which is why it's a little bit lower. But frankly, that's where we're getting to now. Every song here on out's a good intro song. It's now just down to technicality towards what's a better song in my opinion. With that said, 10th place, Invaders. I think Invaders was a good pick as an intro song. Not the best on the album, but I'll get to that in a second. It did a really good job at showing off Bruce Dickinson for the first time in Iron Maiden. It's high energy, it's a lot of fun, it's not very long. It is a good pick. Frankly, if I had to go reorganize the album, I would seriously debate on making The Number of the Beast the intro song. The title track, it has that cool intro to it. It has a chanty chorus. It was a single. I think it may have been a better pick, all things said and done. And we could have Invaders fight with Gangland and Total Eclipse for that kind of culty relevance. Invaders is great. It's an awesome intro. Frankly, just due to its position, I've always thought it should have been the opening song for the Beast on the Road tour, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. 9th place, Future Real. And now it's getting so I can't sleep at night, and the day feel like death. It's high energy, it's a lot of fun, it's super short, has a wicked Dave Murray solo, it has some cool guitar riffs, and frankly, I think it was a huge step up from Sign of the Cross. My only kind of complaints with Future Real is the guitars in it have always been a little bit weak. And I think I've talked about that in the past, where some of the recording techniques for the Virtual 11 album were not the best. And by the time they got to Brave New World, it was a huge step up from Virtual 11. But nonetheless, I do think Future Real was a awesome way to start an album off. 8th place, Different World. You start with Nico, but also such a cool guitar riff immediately after that. Along with that, it's a single, it has a wicked chorus everyone can sing along to. It's not too long, but also it's a little bit dramatic, it's heavy, and it's just a cool song. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. I've always found the chorus to be a little bit weaker than the rest of the song, but honestly, if I ever hear it live, I'm going to be singing along that chorus as loud as humanly possible. And as I said earlier, it's a great song, it's a great intro song, it's just technicalities at this point. 7th place, Be Quick or Be Dead. I've heard Metal Pilgrim in the past compare the song to Painkiller as kind of an intro song, and in which it has that more thrashy tone to it to kind of compete with some of the American bands at the time. And frankly, I don't know if I fully agree with that. I think it has some guitar techniques that Maiden has used in the past, and frankly, they're just pretty good at writing an intro song. So having something that's a bit more high energy and almost comes across as thrashy, which Maiden was kind of into at the time, isn't too shocking. And when I say into at the time, around the early 90s, they're having Anthrax open for them a fair bit, Testament, Megadeth. So the fact they weren't paying attention to thrash metal isn't too shocking that it weaved its way into a song a little bit. So maybe I agree with them, I don't know. Anyway, it hits all the marks like a lot of the other songs. I think the snare intro from Nico does a lot of heavy lifting for this song, but also it has a lot of cool guitar riffs. It's very fast, it's very short, has some cool solos to it, and it just does a great job as an intro. Frankly, I've got nothing bad to say about it. I think a lot of the comments I'm probably going to say here on out might start sounding a little bit similar, which is not intentional. But again, it's kind of hard to really separate the pack at this point. It's now just be what songs I like more. Anyway, 6th place, The Wicker Man. As I said in the past, this one, the first thing you hear is Adrian Smith's guitar, which is kind of a cool, like, the first thing you hear with this is Adrian Smith's guitar, which is kind of this cool, I'm back, bitches, you know, things Adrian says. This song made a really cool single. It had a kind of a fun music video. It also used a 1970 Dodge Challenger in the music video. Means nothing, but hey, we're a car page. And it also had a awesome chorus for fans to sing along with that outro of the song, which is just a huge chanting section. And as I said earlier with the guitar difference between Virtual 11 and Brave New World, this kind of really shows the step up in guitar tone if you compare the two albums. This is way heavier, and the guitar is just way more prominent, and it really makes the song so much stronger. 5th place, Moonchild. There's some albums I could argue that a different song might be better for an intro song. This is not that album. In every way, I think Moonchild was the perfect choice to start this album off. In the same way, to some extent, Only the Good Die Young was the perfect way to close the album off. It showed off some new styles Maiden was using in regards to synthesizers. It was one of the first songs, if not the first song, to use an acoustic guitar. Which they used in the intro. It had some cool guitar solos in it, and some people argue some perfect guitar solos in this, and Seventh Son alike. I wouldn't call the chorus very sing-alongable, but at the same time, the chorus is great. In 4th place, some Jetsu. Now, 4th and 3rd place might get a little bit of criticism, but I don't care, it's my list. I know we're not counting this for live performances, but I got to see some Jetsu in 2022, and it was such a good intro, because you just get that loud bang from the drums they're using, and even on the album, it sounds so good. I think that was such a cool way to start the album off. And this song is incredibly bold. Now, I criticized Sign of the Cross for being mid-tempo, and truthfully, Jetsu is mid-tempo song, but it almost gets away with it because you have that really unorthodox drum beat going through the whole song, almost the whole song, and you have just that really simple but heavy and effective guitar riff going through it with such dramatic vocals the entire time. And this is one of the very few times they've opened with a song that's like in excess of 8 minutes long, and they pull it off really well. The only thing holding it back is it stays mid-tempo the entire song, which I think if it had one faster part in it, it might bump it up a little bit, but that's not the case. Regardless, it's a wicked, wicked opening track. Third place, and written by Bruce Dickinson and Roy Z, If Eternity Should Fail. Starting off with what I'm pretty sure is theremin and the multi-layered Bruce Dickinson vocals. This song has such a cool vibe to start the album off, especially with the Mayan theme they had going on. And again, this was really bold. It's around the 8-minute marker, it's this, and along with that, it has one guitar solo in it, like at the very end of the song. It has a chorus which isn't quite made to be a sing-along chorus, but is perfect to sing along with. And again, it's not super fast, it's a pretty bold intro song, but unlike something like Jetsu, it has a really fast part kind of right in the middle of the song with a really cool guitar riff. And one of the songs off Jetsu, Death of the Celts, also kind of did this, but I've heard from a few people that part just drags on so long, or at least it feels like it does. As when in If Eternity Should Fail, it doesn't drag on that long. I think it's all done perfectly. And the moment that cool fast part's done, you go right back into chorus and it all flows great. My only kind of criticism towards the song is it used one of the vocal parts Bruce did when he was making If Eternity Should Fail for what was going to be the Mandrake Project album back in 2014. So it doesn't quite work with the rest of the Book of Souls album. It sounds cool, but it doesn't need to be there. If that was cut off, I think it'd be a bit stronger. Not that it was knocking out the next two. In second place, Aces High. I think a lot of people would argue this is the best Iron Maiden intro song. It's my number 2, which means you already know what number 1 is. But I think it's paced really well. It has a super easy chorus to sing along with. They opened with a single. It has probably some of the best guitar solos done by Adrian and Dave, and I think some of the most memorable Iron Maiden guitar riffs ever. It was written great, like it has no faults to it. It has Bruce at some of his absolute best. There's cool guitar parts. Like, I've got nothing bad to say about Aces High. It is generally one of the best Iron Maiden songs and intro songs alike. But there's one that I think is better. In first place, Caught Somewhere in Time. I think Caught Somewhere in Time is the perfect intro song. Some might argue it's a little bit too long. It's like 7.5 minutes long or something. But it's a really intense, high-paced 7.5 minutes. You have a long, really cool guitar solo in the middle of it. You have some cool guitar riffs. You've got a chorus that's really easy to sing along with. It's only a couple words, but it's just Bruce belting it out, just wailing those vocals out. And it sounds so good, both 1986 and now. And again, I'm not looking at live stuff, but watch the crowd reaction now when it goes from the Blade Runner intro to the intro of Caught Somewhere in Time. Just watch the excitement. It's also one of the very few studio Iron Maiden songs that have that crashy rock and roll ending with a couple drum fills in it. Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about it. I think it's in every way the perfect intro song. Oh no, what do you think? Do you agree with my list? And if not, how would you rank the intro Iron Maiden songs? And if you don't want to type that out, let me know what is your favorite intro Iron Maiden song. Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, subscribe if you enjoyed the view scene. I tend to post on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and I'll see you later.